Hi guys, I just got The Disciple earlier today, and I'm still reflecting on it. Chaitanya has this way of really immersing you, in the worlds that he creates, and take some time, and feel disoriented coming out. It just took me a while to adjust. I just want to know, before anything, I just want to know, Chaitanya, when court had happened, and you've spoken about how deeply you immersed yourself in the world of just jurisdiction law, and that universe. Was it a similar journey here, or was classical singing something you were already, well aware of, or was it a similar journey of research and just getting to know more and more about this world?
No, I think it was similar in the way that the amount of time I had to spend researching, and it was similar in the sense that it was a completely new world, alien
Uh,
world for me. But it
uh,
was different in the sense that I got fascinated by this field even before I knew I wanted to make a film on it. That
right.
was something that sort of was made clear to me, by my own reflections and introspection after like 5 or 6 months of obsessing over every concert that was happening in the
Mm,
city,
mm,
talking to
mm,
musicians, watching documentaries, reading books. But
right.
I will say that this time in The Disciple, the research and the process of immersion was even more. It was even
Mm,
more intense than
mm,
while during court, because this is such a rich history.
right.
There have been so
Right.
many masters, there are so many stories, there's been so much documentation that it was
Right.
almost more daunting
Right.
to make myself familiar and to get up to speed with this very
Sure.
complex and layered world, and it was a
Right.
great process.
Right. I have a lot of questions on the film, but before I delve in, I'd like to, just talk about a little bit about the friendship, of the two of you together. And it's been really exciting. Two wonderful films have been the product of this. I want to know, Vivek, how did it start? Was it just, the classic story of, the rich producer actor meeting the struggling director? It happened like that, or
Uh,
was there, how did you guys get to be friends, and what has been at the center of this?
yeah, man. I always say it's been a very rewarding journey and relationship so far. And
Hmm.
it initially started with Chaitanya had a play for which called Grey Elephants in
Yes.
Denmark, which he had written,
Right.
and
Right.
he was looking for his cast for that show. And I met him. He let me read the text. I read it. I really liked it, and he casted me in the play as the lead character, and we started our working relationship and friendship from there on. At
Right.
that time, I guess I was from a place of privilege. My parents have worked very hard to put me in a very nice place of privilege, and been very kind. But I didn't really have any money of my own,
Right.
so I wasn't. Anyways, I had never even thought about wanting to be a producer or anything
Hmm.
like that. And
Hmm.
even if I did, my attraction was always to maybe produce a play first, or to try
Hmm.
and create something in theater, because my training was that. And I still hold some aspirations for something I want to achieve in theater later on in life, and I want to build something there. But yeah,
Right.
that was always my zone, and it just happened very organically,
Yeah,
man.
no, I will only qualify
Huh.
one thing that you said, which is, rich producer. There are many rich producers, but very few rich producers with taste and foresight and a
Certainly.
vision.
Certainly.
That's the difference, I
Certainly.
feel.
Certainly.
Because
Certainly.
after
Totally.
something does well, it's easy to analyze
Right.
in
Right.
retrospect.
In the
But to put
right.
your money where your mouth is before something has happened is
Right.
very tough. And also this
Right.
choice of wanting to do this kind of work, that taste very few
Huh.
people have. Rich
Have.
लोग तो बहुत है दुनिया में यार.
Chaitanya, I'll get to this, as granular and immersive as your films are, and as research based as they are. As I was watching The Disciple, there's also just the character of Sharad, just the universality of a second generation artist who's unable to connect to the sort of higher planes of his craft that's been given over to him, and there's a disillusionment that he goes through, on the landscape of a city and technology and so much changing around him. Uh, uh, is that universality important? Was that important to you? Going beyond just the milieu of classical singing, but to speak
Right.
to a mood of all artists or all aspirants in that sense. Huh?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I do believe that there is a inherent universality to the film,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
beyond cultures, beyond,
Yeah.
because all of us have aspirations.
Right.
Nobody grows up saying, "Oh, I want to do the most boring, the safest thing in the world."
Right. Right.
Either they are projections of our parents or pressures from society, or our circumstances and a function of our privileges. But I think we all start out as dreamers. We all start out as idealists, and and then over time something changes.
Right.
But it was in my case only a process of being authentic and just listening to my own impulses. And I've
Right.
realized that when you are sincere, when you're authentic, it inevitably ends up becoming a universal story, no matter how
Right.
specific it is. The
Right.
specificity helps with making it more interesting and more
Right. Right.
original,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
the human condition is universal.
Sure.
The
Sure.
themes of
Right.
loneliness, the themes of
Yes.
dreams fading away, the themes of existential questions and
Right.
mortality, and
Right.
us becoming mirrors of our parents over time,
Right.
us fighting
Right.
the with the ethos of society and wanting to stick to our values. These are problems that a sports person, an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
an artist,
Yeah.
all of them are struggling with these questions over time, over generations, over different periods. So I
Right.
like the word you
Right.
use, granular. I like that word. That's original
uh,
adjective with the film.
I'll zoom into a scene, that really was a gut punch for me. It comes late in the film, and also the editing decision there is very interesting because we already see the time lapse having happened, and Sharad at a little older age in his life, and then you go back to a flashback of a music historian and a
Yeah.
critic meeting them, for drinks, and there's so much happening in that scene. Firstly, you see how is indoctrination, he's outraged by what the man is talking about, and the sort of gossipy nature that a lot of historians and artists sometimes have. But at the same time, he wants to know, because he's also at that forefront
Yeah.
of doubt, so he wants to know, what is the other perspective, on these
Yeah.
people he's grown
Yeah.
up idolizing. Tell us a little bit about just that, writing that scene. For me,
Yeah.
that's where the film sort of came together in a wonderful way. Writing that scene, and also that editing choice to put it later and not give it to us in the, it would have worked, if just in the initial stretch as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was, see, that's a part of your structuring of a script where you
Hmm.
to have a scene. But I must tell you that that scene is something that I have lived. I have
Uh,
experienced as if I was Sharad, because I was interacting with all these musicians. And then there were certain people who I had decided are absolute unquestioned geniuses or
hmm.
unquestioned, like,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
heroes of this field. And then I met one such critic,
Uh,
and he just started casually dismissing every single hero. He's like, I have recordings on my phone. I have seen pictures of this woman in a bikini, and I was so shocked and so
right.
like
Right.
shaken. I mean, of course, you change and you modify as per
Yeah.
the need of your script, but yeah, I have faced that kind of disillusionment, and I am not even a musician.
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of I steal a lot from real life, man. I steal a lot
Uh,
from my own experiences and encounters, and yeah, it is quite a crucial scene in the film,
uh,
of different
uh,
levels, and it was also one of the trickiest scenes to write, to
right.
compress time and to still have
Right.
that,
Yes.
to go from 0
And
to 100 in that scene.
the choice to put it later,
Yeah.
Chaitanya, did that just happen?
No, it was always meant like that. It was always meant
Okay.
to come like
Hmm.
that,
Hmm. Hmm.
because in my head, the way I looked at it, maybe that conversation didn't mean that much in the long
Hmm.
term for him. Maybe
Hmm.
it was something that
Hmm.
happened and then he moved on because he still wanted to hold on to his beliefs. But at the
Right.
point where he is in the film later on,
Hmm.
certain
Hmm.
things, there are certain clues or certain incidents which we kind of brush off in life, and then
Right.
it's all starts coming together, and then it starts assuming a new meaning. Oh shit, I
Right.
should have paid more
Right.
attention to that. And there is
Right.
an ambiguity to that scene, whether the critic is right, whether he's
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
is whether it's just his subjective opinion or whether he's saying the truth. It's all very
Hmm. Hmm.
ambiguous, and
Right.
I like that about the scene.
When we wrote it, the scene was always there, no? In the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
screenplay, it was
always there.
there.
Yeah,
It was not so.
Hmm.
Like, I must tell you, when I read it, I really enjoyed it.
yeah,
Right.
Like, because when you're reading it, right? Because and then you're going through, and then all of a sudden to have a flashback at that point, I didn't expect in the text. To go back and have that conversation and why it came. But yeah, I just,
Right.
anyways, I just wanted to clarify
Right.
that with.
Wait, tell me this, Chaitanya's work, quote onwards. There's a high reputation, that both quote and now the disciple has with festivals, everything, and the themes and subjects he tackles. But it's also one of our most savagely funny filmmakers. I personally feel, quote cracks me up, in so many different ways.
Yeah.
The scene where you get inked, by people who are offended by something you said in court, it's just so hilarious. Moments like that shine through in, all although it has a more austere feel, the disciple it's more held back. There's the moments of those humor and just the naturalistic humor such shines through. Just tell me about this quality of Chaitanya and almost like this dissonance between a high filmmaker and someone who just wants
Yeah,
to be funny.
it's strange. It's strange. I'm sure people who know him really well, they just will vouch by the fact that he is a joker. He's very funny. I mean, of course, he's very talented, even with his humor, but sometimes his humor can be very tacky, and it's very funny tacky. So, I hope people someday get to see this side of him. But you do see that, you see that in Court, of course, and you see that in Disciple. I mean, I love how the competition happens, and there's no steps for the wheelchair. Small things like that. Or in Court, there was no fan. You remember the fan? The fan was being small things like that. That's very Chaitanya. And that's why I find a lot of humor in his films. Both the films I find a lot of humor in, which is why I always want to back it. And I think you need a bit of humor in life. Yeah, look around us, what's going on. You need to, anything can happen like that. So I think you need to have your wits about it, have a sense of humor about it. So I hope his next one, people can see more of that. He can get a more sense of play and that kind of Chaitanya. Yeah.
Chaitanya, do you view this at all as a contradiction, or is it something just your part of your nature?
No, man, I'm going to use your quote. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt when you said savagely funny filmmaker because I look at both the films as tragic comedies.
Right.
Almost, I can say 90% of the films, you show me a scene and I'll show you the humor in it in my head. I guess there is this reputation of it being very serious and layered. But there is hardly a scene where I don't see the humor. You show me a scene, I'll show you, okay, look, this is happening in this scene. And for me, I was cracking up on set while doing it. I mean, that's also just Indian society, if you just observe it. That's how it is, but yeah, man, and I'm now really considering, taking it a few notches higher and doing it in a more overt way in my next project. But yeah, I define the tragic comedies, including the very last scenes, like the last few scenes. For me, there is humor. Okay, they're not funny in an overt way, but there is something irreverent or disjointed or against the expectation happening, and which is yet very deeply connected and rooted to how we are,
Right. On that note, I remember, I was reading an interview of a mentor, Alfonso Cuarón, and he'd mentioned that one of the reasons, you were picked off the program also is that he recognized the stillness and a poise in your cinema that a lot of young filmmakers wouldn't have, and we see that in Disciple as well, and it's a one tug of war there because Sharad is an artist who's constantly accused of restlessness. He's accused of being scattered in his approach, and he doesn't understand it. He's trying to put it all together and condense it. And here's a filmmaker who is so poised, and you have a classic way of framing, let's say, your scenes, just how you frame public spaces and closed spaces. There's so much poise and meditation to the scene, and yet it's about an artist who's at a scattered state. Tell us a little bit just about this and just this thing.
No, it's a very valid observation and a very valid, very good question. But that is, I think, for me, at the heart of every character, like all of us as human beings as well, we really try to hide who we really are. We actually, what we end up projecting is what we want to hide, I feel, an image. I'm not just talking about social media or whatever, because what we truly deeply want, we are also most scared of, I feel. So it's interesting, like a film which is about this meditative music, but this character having a different inner landscape, and there are and Mumbai having its own rhythm, and the reality show having its own rhythm, and the critic having its own rhythm. So there are all these different rhythms that are playing and interacting at the same time. And this music itself is so meditative, and cinema is a temporal medium, but then how do you break that rhythm at certain times? So, and playing with expectations, and how do you calmly depict the raging storm inside a soul, and how do you let the viewers intuit it? Because the times are so noisy, So, so there is all that play, and it's a very great, very good observation, I would say.
Vivek, tell me this, 10 years back, let's say when Theseus was out, when, Chaitanya was doing his early work, the landscape was very different. Our prestige indie projects, if by luck they'd get into theaters and they run there. Today, it's different for many reasons. Today, just the presence of Netflix has opened up this for these films. You had such a wide success with, after the release was held off. How are you viewing this? As I think the Disciple is also on the juncture of such a wide release, and you think it's permanently changed how this zone and this style of cinema is made and shown in this country. Also, having said that, also the pandemic playing a role,
Right.
just holding things back. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a very loaded question in the sense that there's so many aspects to it.
Correct, correct, correct.
Anyway, there was a change was happening, like Netflix had come in,
Hmm,
theaters
hmm,
were
hmm,
reacting, a
hmm,
lot of things
hmm,
were happening, and then, since last year, the pandemic coming in, it has either accelerated, it has also wisened up the audience, given everybody's responding to that. But my overall view is that I believe in the ideal world, both of these things should coexist. And Netflix should coexist, theatrical should coexist. And
right.
for us as filmmakers and creators, I mean, we are very privileged to be in an era where I and you can make a film with an iPhone. I and you have
Hmm,
10 places to go in terms of putting our film and our work out. We have a lot more options. As actors, you have so many options. As creators, you have so many platforms. And it is, and these
hmm,
platforms, especially
hmm,
Netflix coming in the last few years and the kind of impact that they have had, they are not only giving our audiences a taste of world cinema, you would say, but also
okay.
a taste of like Indian regional cinema that might have been hidden
Yes, yes,
somewhere, that is not accessible, that is coming back into the foray. And then this idea, like, like 10 years ago when we were making Court and everybody was like, oh, subtitles, subtitles. I'm very tired of that. I think
hmm,
our
hmm,
audience is wise
hmm,
enough. They
hmm,
can
hmm,
understand it. They might not speak Gujarati or Marathi, but they're Indian. They understand the Indianness of the languages. They can read and they could understand also. So this idea of subtitles being an hindrance, all of this is changing. What is an
right,
independent film? Why does it have to be a mainstream language? I think all those
right,
older rules, I think, are a lot more flexible now. Nothing has changed. It's a lot more flexible. And we are still learning and we have to see how we come out of it on the other side. While we
right,
have the advantage of having a Netflix and such assets, we have to remember the others who might right now are not able to have a livelihood because of the
right,
pandemic, because things are shut. And those options eventually in the long term should be there for the people, right? For people
right,
to earn their livelihood, for an audience to watch a film outside or to watch it in the comfort of their own home, do movie nights, whatever they want to do. But I think we
right.
as creators have less excuses to hide behind. I feel there's more options, more choices, and but overall, how will it really impact? We'll know in 5 6 years, right? Like after Theseus and all that
Yeah,
you were saying, and
yeah.
Lunchbox got made and all of that. In the
Uh,
last 5 6 years, a lot
yes,
of
yes,
different kind of cinema has come through India. And that is very
true.
encouraging. And I think it will only become better. I think everybody who's coming into the industry, the youngsters, the new generation, I feel they are a lot more assured, a lot more comfortable with technology, and I feel like they're more fearless than.
You know,
Right, right,
uh,
right.
my headphones just died.
All
Sorry.
right, all right. All right. I'll end with this, Chaitanya. I'll end with this question with you. There's any kind of a filial theme, in a film, a father-son story. It no matter where, however you're coming at it from, it ultimately sort of pivots back to your own life. I just wanted to know, we know very little. Just you could talk about your relationship with your father. Anything you could share, and did this film at all? Did you use it as a resource in any way, emotionally? And yeah.
I must tell you that
Hmm.
I'm here because of my father. My father has always been very supportive.
Right,
I
right.
mean, I wanted to be in this field since I was like maybe 5 years old. Okay.
Right,
I mean, I grew up wanting to be an actor. And there was not a single time when my father said, oh, don't be silly, become a doctor or just finish your
uh,
education. I chose arts as a field in my college. There was zero resistance from my father for any of the choices that I wanted to make in life. The funny thing is, he doesn't get the films.
Right.
He doesn't get
Huh.
Disciple. He doesn't. He's very so used to his Marathi television and certain
Right.
kinds of
Right.
films that he's like, okay, he's worried for
Right.
me. He's like, oh, are people going to get what you've made? So that's the funny part.
Uh,
And
right.
yeah, he's had his own journey. He wanted to be a chess player, and
Hmm.
he was,
Hmm.
he had to drop out of his education at a certain point because they didn't have enough money, and he was touted to be a very
Uh,
bright student. So yeah,
uh,
you do take inspiration.
uh,
The
hmm.
good parts and the gaps. And both
Right.
Vivek and I, have been very close to our fathers, and it does somehow, maybe subconsciously also, if not so
Right.
consciously, seep
Right.
into your work. And I must tell you, my father Googles me
Huh.
every single
Yeah,
day.
I was just going to say.
He's going to watch this interview for
Yeah.
sure. And he's going to
You
call me up
Right.
and be, what the hell were you saying about me?
No, but he's like
That's
that,
right. Hmm.
because he's come to our screenings. We try and do cast and
Hmm.
crew and family
Hmm.
screenings before it goes out to the
Hmm.
world. And and he's so sweet. He's actually worried for me also. He's like, "Are you guys sure? What are you doing?" And then
Hmm.
he'd go and check all the reviews and everything, and then he'll give his
Right.
feedback. He won't ask you to read it
Right.
or anything because he respects your space, but he will check. I'm pretty sure he's got a Google alert for Chaitanya for sure. Even me also he has.
Ah,
But
yeah, for you
that's
also.
the yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have support and family like that in your corner, man. It helps you. It
Right.
really helps you because it just keeps you grounded. So I'm very grateful for Uncle as well. Yeah.
Great, great. I'm out of time. Thank you so much, Chaitanya. Thank you so much,
Man,
Vivek.
thank you.
All the best for the Disciple. I
Thank you.
just hope the film gets watched widely and loved widely. Thank you so much. All the best. Bye bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Be safe and take care. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Yeah.